Therigatha. Adapted from the archaic translation by Mrs. Rhys Davids. Subha of Jivaka's mango grove, daughter of a Brahmin of Rajagaha. She too, having made her resolve under former Buddhas, and accumulating good karma of age-enduring efficacy in many rebirths, developing the roots of goodness and perfecting the conditions for enlightenment through the ripening of her knowledge, was in this Buddha era, reborn at Rajagaha, in the family of a very eminent Brahmin. Her name was Subha, and truly lovely was her body in all its members. It was for this reason that she came to be so called. While the master stayed at Rajagaha, she received faith and became a lay disciple. Later she grew anxious about the round of life, and saw the danger in the pleasures of senses, and decided that safety lay in renunciation. She entered the order under the great Pajapati the Gautami, foster mother and the sister and co-wife of the Buddha's departed mother and head of nuns. And exercising herself in insight meditation, was soon established in the fruition of the state of no return. Now one day a certain unrestrained drunken person of Rajagaha, in the prime of youth, was standing in the Jivaka mango grove, and saw her going to meditate. And feeling attracted, he barred her way, soliciting her to lustful sensual pleasures. She declared to him by many instances the bane of sensuous pleasures and her own choice of renunciation, teaching him the Dhamma. Even then he was not cured, but persisted. The Theri, not stopping short at her own words, and seeing his passion for the beauty of her eyes, extracted one eye from her eye socket, tore it apart, and handed it to him, saying, "Come, then. Take this offending eye." Because of that the man was horrified and appalled and, his lust all gone, asked her forgiveness. Then the Theri went to the master's presence, and there, at sight of him, her eye became as it was before. Because of that she stood shaking with unceasing joy at the Buddha. The master, knowing the state of her mind, taught her, and showed her exercise for reaching the highest. Repressing her joy, her insight meditation grew, and attained arahantship, together with thorough grasp of the Dhamma in form and meaning. From that time on, abiding in the bliss and fruition of Nibbana, she, looking back at what she had won, uttered her dialogue with the unrestrained man who confronted her, in these verses. In Jivaka's pleasant woodland walked Subha the Bhikkhuni. A drunken unrestrained man met her there, and barred the way. To him thus spoke Subha: "What have I done to offend you, that thus in my path you come?" "No man, O friend, it seems to touch an ordained. So has my master ordained me in the moral precepts. We honor and follow. So has the welcome one taught in the training in which they have trained me. Purified discipline holy. Why you stand blocking my pathway? Me pure, unwavering mind. Me passionless, you of vile passions. Me who as to the whole of me freed am I and blameless. Me from where comes it that you do hinder, standing obnoxious?" The man: "Young are you, lady, and without sin, what you seek in the ordained life. Cast off that yellow-colored dress and come. In the blossoming woodland seek we our pleasure. Filled with the incense of blossoms the trees waft sweetness. See, the springs at the prime, the season of happiness. Come with me then to the flowering woodland, and seek we our pleasure. Sweet overhead is the sound of wind of the blossoming crests of the forest, swayed by the wind gods. But you going alone in the jungle, lost in its depths, how will you find anything to delight or content you? Haunted is the great forest with many a herd of wild creatures. Broken its peace by the tramplings of elephants rutting and savage. Empty of mankind and fearsome it is, there you should not go uncompanioned. You like a gold-work statue, like nymph moving in celestial garden. O matchless creature! Radiant would shine your loveliness. Robed in dress of beauty, fine fabric of Benares. I would live but to serve you, and you staying in the woodland. Dearer and sweeter to me than are you in the world is no creature. You with the slow-moving eyes of an fairy of the forest. If you will listen to me, come where the joys of the sheltered life wait you. Dwell in a house of verandas and terraces, handmaidens serving you. Robe yourself in delicate gear of Benares, wear garlands, use ointments. Ornaments many and diverse I give to you, fashioned with precious stones, gold work and pearls. And you shall mount on a couch fair and sumptuous, carved in sandalwood, fragrant with essences, spread with new pillows. Beds woolly and soft, and decorated with immaculate canopies. You are like a lotus on the bosom of water served by fairies. You, who live celibate life, will be going to age, your beauty is unmatched. Subha. What now to you, in this filth-filled, grave-filling carcass so fragile? Seen by you, speaking this ill doctrine, infatuate. The man. Eyes have you like the gazelles, like a fairy in the mountains. It is those fairy eyes of you, sight of which feeds the depth of my passion. Shrined in your dazzling, immaculate face as in calyx of lotus. It is those eyes of you, sight of which feeds the strength of my passion. Though you be far from me, how could I ever forget you, O lady? You of the long-drawn eyelashes, you of the eyes so miraculous. Nothing is dearer to me than those orbs, O you witching-eyed fairy. Subha. Lo. You are wanting to walk where no path is. You seek to capture moon from the skies for your play. You would jump over the ridges of Meru. You who presumes to lie in wait for a child of the Buddha. Nowhere in earth or in heaven lives now any object of lust for me. This I know not now. What like is it? Slain, root and branch, through the noble path. Hurled as live coal from the hand, and rated as deadly as poison cup. This I see not. What is it like? Slain, root and branch, through the noble path. Tempt you some woman who has not discerned what I say, or whose teacher is but a learner. Fortunately she will listen. Tempt you not Subha. She understands. And now it is yourself have annoyance and failure. For I have set my mind to be watchful in whatsoever falls on me. Blame or honor, gladness or sorrow, and knowing the principle. Foul are all material things, nowhere the mind of me clings to them. Yes, the disciple am I of the Buddha. Onward the march of me. Riding the car of the road that is eightfold. Drawn out are the arrows from my wounds, and cleansed is my spirit of desires, intoxicants. So I am come to empty places in bliss. Oh! I have seen it a puppet well painted, with new wooden spindles. Cunningly fastened with strings and with pins, and diversely dancing. But if the strings and the pins be all drawn out and loosened and scattered, so that the puppet be made non-existent and broken in pieces, which of the parts will you choose and appoint to calm your mind? Such is the manner in which persist these poor little bodies. Take away members and attributes, nothing survives in any wise. Nothing survives? Which do you choose to calm your mind? Even as a painting one sees drawn on a wall, painted in orange, gives us nothing of the true and the real, except in the false appearance. You in this with vision perverted cannot distinguish. Judges with wisdom of average human, fallible, worthless. Oh, you are blind. You chase a make-believe, deluded by puppet shows. Seen in the midst of the crowd. You knower of value and genuine. Conjurers trick work like trees all of gold that we see in our dreaming. What is this eye but a little ball lodged middle of a hollow tree? Bubble of film, anointed with tear brine, exuding slime drops. Compost created in the shape of an eye of many aspects? At once Subha tore out her own eye and gave it to him. Here, then. Take you your eye? Nor sinned she, her mind without attachment. Straightway the lust in him ceased and he was begging for her pardon. Oh, that you might recover your sight, you maid who is holy and celibate. Never again I will dare to offend you after this fashion. Much have you struck down my sin. Blazing flames I have clasped to my heart. Poisonous snake have I handled, but oh! Be you healed and forgive me. Freed from molesting, the Bhikkhuni went on her way to the saintly Buddha. There in his presence, having seen his holy features, born from utmost merit, straightway her sight was restored to her. Chapter 15. Therigatha. Adapted from the archaic translation by Mrs. Rhys Davids. Isidasi, daughter of a millionaire of Ujjeni, ex-wife of a millionaire of Saketa. She too, having made her resolve under former Buddhas, and persisting in her former disposition in this and that rebirth, in that she heaped up good karma of age-enduring efficacy, in the seventh rebirth before her last phase of life, susceptible to lustful attraction, had adulterous conduct. For this she was in hell for many centuries, and from that time on for 3 rebirths was an animal. From that time on she was brought forth by a slave woman as an eunuch. And from that time on she was born as the daughter of a poor common man, and was, when of age, married to the son of a caravan leader named Giridasa. Now the other wife that he had was virtuous and of noble qualities, and the new wife envied her, and quarrelled with the husband because of her. After her death she was, in this Buddha era, reborn at Ujjeni as the daughter of a virtuous, honored, and wealthy merchant, and was named Isidasi. When she was of age, her parents gave her in marriage to a merchant's son, a good match with herself. For a month she dwelt with him as a devoted wife. Then, as the fruit of her previous actions, her husband became estranged from her, and turned her out of his house. All this is told in the Pali text. Because she had not proved desirable for one husband after another, she grew agitated and, gaining her father's consent, took ordination under the Therigatha. And progressing in insight, she not long after attained arahantship, together with thorough grasp of the Dhamma in form and meaning. Dwelling in the bliss of fruition and nibbana, she one day, after seeking her meal in the city of Patna and eating, sat down on a sand bank of great Ganges, and being asked by her companion, the Theri Bodhi, about her previous experience, she related it by way of verses. And to show the connection of her former and latter replies, these 3 stanzas were inserted by the recensionists. In the fair city of Patna, earth's fairest city, named for its beauty after the trumpet flower, dwelt 2 saintly Bhikkhunis, born of the Sakyas. Isidasi the one, Bodhi the other. Moral precept observers. Lovers of Jnana rapture. Learned ladies and cleansed from the taint of all worldliness. These having made their round of alms, and broken their fasting, washed their bowls, and sitting in happy seclusion, spoke thus one to the other, asking and answering. You have a lovely appearance, Isidasi. Fresh and unwithered yet your woman's prime. What flaw in the life earlier have you seen, that you did choose to surrender for your lot? Then in that quiet spot Isidasi, skilled in the exposition of the Dhamma, took up her tale and thus did make reply. Hear, Bodhi, how it was that I renounced. In Ujjeni, Avanti's foremost town, my father dwells, a virtuous citizen. His only daughter I, his well-beloved, the fondly cherished treasure of his life. Now from Saketa came a citizen, of the first rank and rich exceedingly, to ask my hand in marriage for his son. And father gave me him, as daughter-in-law. My salutation morning and evening I brought, to both the parents of my husband, lo, bowing my head and kneeling at their feet, according to the training given to me. My husband's sisters and his brothers too, and all his relatives, scarce were they entered when I rose in timid zeal and gave them place. And as to food, or boiled or dried, and drink, that which was to be stored I set aside, and served it out and gave to whom it was due. Rising before times, I went about the house. Then with my hands and feet well cleansed I went, to bring respectful greeting to my lord. And taking comb and mirror, ointments, soap, I dressed and groomed him as a handmaid might. I boiled the rice, I washed the pots and pans. And as a mother on her only child, so did I serve to my good man. For me, who with toil infinite thus worked, and rendered service with a humble mind, rose early, ever diligent and good. For me, he felt nothing except much dislike. No, to his mother and his father he thus spoke. You give me leave and I will go. Because I will not live with Isidasi beneath one roof, nor ever dwell with her. O son, speak not this way about your wife. For wise is Isidasi and discreet, an early riser and a housewife diligent. Say, does she find no favor in your eyes? In nothing does she work me harm, and yet, with Isidasi will I never live. I cannot make her suffer. Let be, let be. You give me leave and I will go away. And when they heard, mother and father-in-law asked of me, what then have you done to offend? Speak to us freely, child, and speak the truth as it is. Nothing have I done that could offend, nor harm, nor annoyed with evil words. What can I do? That my husband should so much dislike me? To guard and keep their son, they took me back, unwilling, to father's house, distressed, distraught. Alas! We're broken, pretty luck. Then father gave me for the second time as bride, content with half my husband's sire had paid. From that house too, when I had dwelt a month, I was sent back, though I had worked and served, blameless and virtuous, as any slave. And yet a third, a friar begging alms, one who had self-controlled, and could control favor in fellow men, my father met, and spoke to him thus. Be you my son-in-law? Come, throw away that ragged robe and pot. He came, and so we dwelt 1/2 moon more together. Then to father thus he spoke. Oh, give me back my frock, my bowl, and cup. Let me away to seek once more my scraps. Then to him father, mother, all the tribe of relatives asking, what is it then? Here dwelling likes you not. Say quick, what is it that we can do to make you better pleased? Then he, if for myself I can suffice, enough for me. One thing I know, beneath one roof with Isidasi I'll not live. Dismissed he went. I too, alone I thought. And then I asked my parents leave to die, or that they allow me to leave the world. Now Lady Giridasa on her beat came by my father's house for daily alms. Mindful of every moral precept, she learned and expert in the Vinaya. And seeing her we rose, and I prepared a seat for her, and as she sat I knelt. Then gave her food, both boiled and dried, and water, dishes we had set aside, and satisfied her hunger. Then I said, Lady, I wish to leave the world. Why here? My father said, Dear child, is scope for you to walk according to the Dhamma. With food and drink can gratify the holy monks and the twice-born. But of my father I, weeping and holding out clasped hands, begged eagerly. No, but the evil karma I have done, so that I would atone and it be wear away. Then father said, you go and win enlightenment, and highest Dhamma, and gain Nibbana. That he, the best of beings, has realized. Then to my mother and my father dear, and all my relatives clan I said farewell. And only after 7 days had I gone forth, I had touched and won the threefold knowledge. Then did I come to know my former births, even 7 of that, and how even now I reap the harvest, the result, that then I sowed. That will I now declare to you, and you will listen single-minded to my tale. In Irakach's town before El lived a wealthy craftsman in all works of gold. Incensed by youth's hot blood, a wanton. I enjoyed with neighbors' wives. Therefrom deceasing, long I cooked in hell. Till, fully ripened, I emerged, and then found rebirth in the body of an ape. Scarce 7 days I lived before the great ape. The monkey's chief, castrated me. Such was the fruit of my lasciviousness. Therefrom deceasing in the woods of Sind. Reborn the offspring of a one-eyed goat. And Lame. Lived 12 years castrated, gnawn by worms. Unfit, I carried children on my back. Such was the fruit of my lasciviousness. Therefrom deceasing, I again found birth. The offspring of a cattle dealer's cow. A calf of black red hue. In the 12th month. Castrated, yoked, I drew the plough and cart. Lacking in vision and worried, driven, and unfit. Such was the fruit of my lasciviousness. Therefrom deceasing, even in the street. I came to birth, child of a household slave. Neither of woman nor of man my sex. Such was the fruit of my lasciviousness. At 30 years of age I died, and was reborn. A girl, the daughter of a cart puller, poor. And of ill fortune, and oppressed with debts. Taken from moneylenders. To pay the sum of interest, that ever grew and swelled. In place of money, the merchant of a caravan. Dragged me off wailing, little I was. Taking me away from my home. Now in my 16th year, when I blossomed as girl, that same merchant's son. Giridasa the name of him, loved me. And made me wife. Another wife he had. A virtuous lady of repute. Attracted to her mate. And thus I brought discord and enmity within that house. Fruit of my karma was it thus that they, in this last life, have slighted me, even though I waited on them as their humble slave. Well, of all that now have I made an end.